Now that's exciting.
Yeah.
Goosebumps? Yeah, we're very excited. We're looking forward to this. We want to get this out with giving you guys some of the artists that you saw up there. Again, everything you saw in that video was done on the ZBrush for iPad, right? So this is really exciting for us. It's really exciting for you guys too as a community, be able to be creative like this. So we want to start it off. We're going to start with an amazing artist, been a good friend. Do you have the switcher there?
I got the switcher.
Okay, I'm just making sure I know what I'm doing over here. So ladies and gentlemen, let's put a wonderful warm applause, okay, for Lucas Suka. We're going to let you take it from here, sir.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Lucas is going to take it from
Hey
here.
guys, how's it going? All right. So, hello guys, how's it going? In this presentation, I'm going to show how the making of the Maxon Dragon. But before we start, I'm going to show a small video of what I do, what we do in films. I'm a character supervisor for DNEG, Vancouver, or North America. Yeah, same. There we go. All right, let's go to the important part. The Maxon Dragon. So for this project, I have some goals and a brief, right? Also, I have a timeline. But I have a couple of challenges. I knew that I wanted to make a dragon. We wanted to make a dragon, and also I had to buy an iPad because I never had an iPad before, or never had it. So I need to learn how to use the iPad as well. What is not, it's very simple, but it's something else I had to learn, and then learn ZBrush on the iPad. Now, the ZBrush on the iPad took me 5 minutes. It's that straightforward. We will talk more about that later, but if you know ZBrush, you will start straight away. I wanted to push ZBrush on the iPad as much as I can. I really want to know if I could use the iPad and ZBrush professionally, right? The final image needs to be done with all Maxon family of softwares. So that means Cinema 4D for setting up the scene and Redshift for rendering. I will also use a little bit of the desktop version of ZBrush just for decimation and stuff like that. But I also had to learn Cinema 4D and Redshift. But it's something in all this presentation that you're going to notice, and is that everything was pretty simple. From buying the iPad to learning Redshift was simple. And the most important one, right, of course, make something nice, right? So let's start with the interface. The interface is, honestly, is super easy to learn. It's very intuitive. The full screen is, your model is in the full screen. You have your menus in the left and the right, and your custom palette. But the main actor in all this interface is the wheel. The wheel is very well designed. I didn't have to use the mouse of the keyboard at all. Most of my, I would say 75% of this project was done in my sofa. So it's sofa approved. At the evening, after I finish working, I will sit in the sofa with my wife watching some TV show and make a dragon in the meantime. Also, you can do your custom palettes and menus, what is great. But yeah, the wheel will, as soon as you start using it, you can see how much the guys were thinking in the interface and in the wheel, it's very well done. Then sculpting, yes, wow, sculpting is that good, sculpting in the iPad. I never used an iPad before, but I use a lot of tablets, all from different brands. I will not say the brand just in case, but different brands, from 13 inches to mobile ones to 26 inches. And the iPad is the ZBrush for iPad and the iPad are second to none. It's spectacular. The experience is great. It's fast. It's responsive. It's no lag. Honestly, it feels very, very good. You can bring your brushes, your materials, your alphas, wherever you want. If you did a vector brush, for example, in my Dragon, I have my kit of vector brushes. I bring them from desktop version to the iPad version, my materials, my custom materials as well. So all of that you can do it. And one of the most important parts, right, is the poly count. You want to push a lot of polygons, right? The Dragon have around 447 million polygons, the full statue, right? And I will say, this is a tool that everyone knows. Solo Dynamic, is your best friend. When you're doing something that heavy, just use it. It will help you. It makes your experience faster. I'm going to go away from presentation mode for a second, and so we can zoom in some of these screenshots. So you guys can see some of the screenshots from ZBrush, right? That's a bit of a close-up as well, right? Okay, let's go into presentation, back into presentation mode. Well, polypaint. That didn't change much. I mean, that's still the same that you will have in the desktop. But I wanted to explain more or less how I do my polypaint. And of course, I always start by creating my color palette. The color palette, you can get it from pictures, a photograph, a concept, or Pantheon, wherever you want, But I always try to keep true to that palette. Also, you start by choosing your base color. My way of painting is I go from dark to light, right? I always choose the darkest color and I start to build light. And probably the most important part in painting is, you want to highlight the areas of interest. You want to make sure that the audience is always watching the area that you want, right? Another part is masking is very powerful, yes. Things like mask by cavity, mask by peaks and valleys, mask by smoothness, all of that will help you to create more textures on top. So, that's a little bit of that. That's a couple of, screenshots of how polypaint looks and how my color palette looks in the beginning, doesn't look that clean at the end. I will be mixing a lot of colors. I will be, blending them together. But I like to still keep in the original colors that, before I paint into the Dragon. So I always can come back. And this is just a plane in ZBrush, right? It's a plane in a different subtool, and so you can keep it always there. And then we go to posing. So for posing, I pose in a very simple, low-res version of my model. Yeah, it looks that bad. Because I don't care about, any detail in there. I just want to I break the model, I break it in all the joints, I put everything in one subtool, and I start playing with it. And I keep it also in the same file. I make sure that it's fast, right? And that's because if I'm making, for example, let's say that I'm making scales for the face, and I get tired, I go back into the pose, right? And I keep going back and forward. At the time of posing, I use a lot of Transpose Master anchor brushes. The anchor brushes are very, very good for this. They're amazing for this. And probably the most important part in posing is that you don't build a base for the pose. You build a base for the pose, not a pose for the base, if that makes sense. You don't want to restrict yourself to the base that you build, right? You want to be creative, so you want to make the pose, and then you create a base that goes around that pose. And then that's the other thing, all this model was built in bind pose. I didn't build it from the pose, right? A little bit of how the model will look in bind pose, and then that's how the model will look in pose. Just also so you guys have a bit of context, the timeline in the project took around 3 weeks, was 2 weeks for sculpting it and 1 week for rendering. More or less, that's the timeline. And then we go into rendering. But before rendering, what I did was to bring the model into ZBrush. It went to the desktop version. And there, what I did was the decimation process, right? When you decimate this model, I decimated the model, I always keep polypainting, so decimate by polypainting, so you can keep the color, right? Then I take into Cinema 4D, and again, we're going to be back into what I was saying in the beginning, right? Simple, Cinema 4D is super simple, super easy to learn, In half a day, I was rendering, not making final renders, but I was starting to render. So what I did in Cinema 4D, I just set up the model, creating the right scale, because you always want to work in the correct scale. Create one stitch camera, actually. So it's one camera that goes into all the angles I want, and create my light rig. Then I will render it in Redshift. I will create my materials, and then I will create images like this, right? And that's the nice thing about, setting up a scene in a software like Cinema 4D, right? That you can create multiple cameras, multiple light rigs, try to get different moves for your model, and it's pretty straightforward. But also the other nice thing is that you're in Cinema 4D and using Redshift, and you can start playing also with materials, right? So if you want to have your material having some kind of copper feeling, right, with a feeling of patina, you can do that as well. And this is probably the most important part of the presentation. I always separate, softwares into two categories: tools, professional tools, and toys. It's nothing wrong with toys. Toys are, things that we use to play. It's nice, it's fun. We use it in our free time. But in my opinion, ZBrush for iPad is for professional art. It's a software that you can use to do professional work. It performs very, very, very well. And that's pretty much. I'm good? All right, go on. Thank you. All right, so I will do a small demo of how I sculpt some of the scales in the Dragon. So one of the things that you can do is always import your brushes, right? So if you go into the import version, into the import button, you can import materials, brushes, alphas, whatever you want. I already import them, so I will leave it there. Let's take the smooth brush. Actually, boom, there we go. Oh, sorry, I have my custom. The smooth is stronger. That's my favorite one. Smooth an area like that, right? All right, and then I will take my vector brush, And in this brush, I have like 100 different scales that I build over time. And it's like a lot. A lot. Yeah, 113. There we go. So I choose a couple of them and I like. Let's say I like that. And I will drag them around. And I will drag a couple of them around. Also, a small trick. You see how that's happening? All right, if you don't want that to happen to you, you just can create storm of target. There we go. And then you can drag them. And if that happens, right? There we go. So I will drag a couple of them here, there. I will choose another one, for example, this guy. Boom, boom. Let's choose this guy again. All right, let's say that we have that. Actually, let's put them fast. And then I use another brush that I created. This I call LC standard. That it's just it's like a slash brush, right? And this is what I was talking about. You know, dynamic isolation, right? And rotate, boom. If you select here, you have dynamic, solo dynamic, right? So that means that when you move, you just solo the head. That makes the things very, very fast. I think that we are moving a lot of polygons, right? And it's still very responsive. So let's downsize this a little bit. How big it is? All right, we go. Okay. And I will take this and start, carving in between them. Create the feeling of skin between them. And I will go, as well, I will go mark them a little more, cut them a little bit, continue with the feeling of skin. Very, very fast. And that's more or less how I do the scale work. There we go. That's it?
All right. Well, real quick, before you jump off stage real fast,
yeah.
I just also want to shout out and thank Mamaki as well, because his dragon is right here. And it's printed, it's beautiful, all in color. You probably painted this in ZBrush for iPad, right?
Yeah, I probably painted in ZBrush.
Yeah. Okay, so how long did it take you to make the whole dragon?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And render?
1 week.
Look at that. That's freaking awesome.
But the thing is that, right? Everything is so simple. It doesn't take much long to learn how to use it. In all this process, if I need to put a word, it's simple.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
right.
much, dude. Come here. Round of applause, everybody, for
Thank
Lucas.
Guys, also I want to highlight the fact that this is the first ever fully sculpted, painted model in the ZBrush for iPad. Lucas was actually the first person externally to get his hands on this version, get going. So it's very exciting to see this and see what he was going to do. Is kind of a challenge when I called him and go, dude, you've done dragons, you've done this before. Let's see if we're going the right way with ZBrush for iPad. We're getting the power that we want. We're getting you as an artist to give you what you want, especially a person that's in a production level case too, and seeing what we can do. So it was something he was game for. And also I'd like to really stress, like in his presentation, he was talking about like his one bullet point, buy an iPad. He had never used an iPad before also, right? Really, not much, really, like a little bit, right? So this was like a whole new adventure for him, and this was also why we wanted him to also tackle this and see, is this something possible you could make in the ZBrush for iPad? And I think he killed it. He did an amazing piece. This is straight off the printer too. Jaime's here from Mamaki here in the front. Raise your hand so everyone can see. If you guys want to talk to him, right? So We are going to have this on display upstairs after the show here, okay, in the gallery for Noman. We're going to have it on a pedestal so you guys can see it up close, take some pictures. You can ask Jaime some questions as well of how his printing process and how he works with that too. So we're very excited about that. And again, there's going to be another presentation that we're going to have here in a second. So I just wanted to give that point to what he did and how he did that in the short time too that he did. It was pretty amazing and was really awesome to see that he was able to accomplish what was in his head and what he wanted to set forward to. So Ian, I'm going to hand it over to you now. You've got this one.
All right. Well, I'm not going to waste time. I know everybody here is excited to see the next guest. So we're going to go ahead and welcome up Mr. Jay Hill. Come on.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, thanks, bro. Oh, hello.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead and get set up.
Hello, everybody.
Are you guys excited? That did not sound as
Dude,
exciting as I was
don't hype
hoping.
it up, dude. It's low key, man.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, what do I do here? Oh,
All right, cool. All right, it's all you.
all right, cool. Yeah, hello. All right, well, yeah, my name's Jay, and I'm a character artist for games. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what got me really excited about the whole ZBrush for iPad thing, and give a couple examples. So I was definitely like really excited as soon as they essentially announced it. I hit up Paul, and I was like, is there any way I could test this, please? So thank you for like hooking it up. I knew that this was going to be a big deal. I don't know exactly why, but I wanted to get my hands on it. And so I'm going to show you a couple things. So starting off first, I make some heads sometimes. Yeah, like I say, I'm a character artist for games, so I make a lot of like people for my job. And I like to do 3D illustrations and stuff for fun. But those can be like really big projects. And so I like to do these little projects in between that take about 6 hours or something like that, just to like practice and make more, characters, hopefully. I want to make things like personality, and I want to essentially do a project in a short amount of time. So I thought it'd be a great thing to try to do on an iPad. I thought that sounded super awesome. If I could do, like, I could sit next to my wife and she's doing like, Desperate Housewives or something, and then I'm like obsessing over some guy's wrinkles or something like that, So to each their own. So I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm just gonna show you a process video. Hopefully it's not loud. All right, so here's just the ZBrush file. Imagine there was a process, and then it ended like that. And you're like, oh, sick. Yeah, so this one, essentially, like I said, I wanted to like do a head study on an iPad, and I did a lot of it in bed, which is cool. So anyways, that's like the fun, like geeky stuff, I think, that we're all probably thinking. Some of the stuff that I thought was super cool was the brushes, like I mentioned. By the way, that dragon was crazy sick. Yeah, so I got my own brushes in here. That was really cool. And you can see like I'm using them right here, blah, 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 dragging out brushes. So I like to just set things up and then spend a long time detailing. It's kind of relaxing. So that's what I did with this guy. And some things to note, I got to use my normal workflow. Like I used my normal, obviously sculpting and everything, my own brushes. And then I used these, shout out to Nazar. I used Nazar's brushes for his eyebrows. Can probably even show that too. I'll show you for a second here and see. So yeah, like for instance, he has his eyebrows. Again, this was in the video that was amazing that you guys all just saw. But like, you drag out eyebrows and then, you could split these. So I'm doing like normal ZBrushy stuff. All right. And then we could use the gizmo, and I got to use like my, the normal like bend curve and like all this cool stuff. So I was like, oh, dude, it's got all the normal stuff. So I was pretty excited. I got to use, like I say, my normal workflow. And then I got to use Dynamesh for the hair. So all in all, like I was really happy to be able to do my normal like kind of study stuff. And that's what I think is super key. It's probably been stated here a bunch of times. The fact that the ZBrush is the same, like underlying, is super cool. Like you can start it on your desktop and pick it up on your iPad and vice versa. It's the same Z tool, it's the same project, the same brush files. So that I think just makes it super compelling. Like I say, I can start a project and then I finish it, on the couch or something, which seems like small potatoes. I'll talk at the end of what I think might be the biggest deal about this. But this was the head study, and I did a couple. Cool. So I rendered it in Blender. I did it with the other demo too. I just thought, it's free and kind of open source and stuff. So I threw them in Blender. It's polypaint and it's fiber mesh and everything. So it's essentially just rendered ZBrush stuff. So that's that one. Okay. Yeah, so that's like a 6-hour thing, and that's something that from like my personal workflow, I would use the iPad for, and I think that's kind of cool. I'm sure everyone's got like a little thing like that. I like the idea of picking it up somewhere else, and if you're traveling or on a plane, again, that doesn't happen a lot of times, but it's kind of fun. I'll show another example. We'll see if ZBrush doesn't crash here, because I'm going to test it right now. So this is an example of a model that's over 130 million polygons that is made for printing, and it doesn't have any subdivisions. So ZBrush hates this kind of a model. On desktop, this is also super slow. So you're going to see how it's really slow. But it's crazy that I can open it on an iPad. So I'm working with someone to help me get this ready for printing. His name's James Doyle. And so he's been, doing updates to the file, and he'll send it to me. And I just think it's so awesome that I can literally open his file, like if you were like traveling or something, and you can like check detail and stuff, because all this stuff is baked in. It's just one watertight model. So it's an insane amount of polygons. And I'm just showing this because I think it's kind of neat that it's like on an iPad. It's kind of crazy. So again, kind of a niche thing, but I think pretty awesome in general. So we'll talk about the next project now. Imagine another epic process. It was so cool too, trust me. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so here's the first project I did with it, and I thought it actually worked out great because I got a really early build of the beta, and I wasn't sure. It might have been possible, honestly. I don't know. I wasn't sure how to import the brushes and all that, and it made me think like, hey, I want to do this project, and I get in my own head like normal about how big it could be. And like the dragon, glad I didn't compete with that. That was sick. So I tried to like go under. I was like, what could I do that was just fun? And that was kind of my goal with this one. Like, how can I just have fun like I would want to, like I would, hope my kids would, or I would, hope someone else does that just wants to have fun making art on the iPad. And so that was the idea with this project. So I just used vanilla ZBrush. These are all just brushes in here. I actually started with, there's like an anime demo head. So I started with one of the projects, and I just used all the normal brushes, and then just did something that I thought was fun and appealing to me. So I can show some examples, I guess, like normal subdivisions. Let's see if there's anything to note here. Like I say, really basic. I did use the cloth brush, which is kind of cool. In ZBrush, I kind of use that sometimes in my own stuff, just little like cloth move and all that. Transpose cloth. And then, again, just basic stuff, just was like meditation, like adding little details. And then I like the idea of the tattoos, because, again, I can just like grab this little paint brush and then, zoom in and just paint little things for fun. So this was supposed to be just like a fun, low-key thing to do. And then I rendered this in Blender too, again, in the same spirit of like, hey, it should just be, simple. And yeah, so the idea is like, could I make artwork for fun on an iPad like I would normally? And I definitely could. So this is what I think is most exciting to me personally. I do 3D art for fun, and I've started to teach more, and I in a way, I kind of like just spout out the gospel of this sort of thing because, I found a lot of joy with it. Obviously, it's like transformed my life, and I love doing it. And I think that was the thing that made me really, really excited about this whole ZBrush for iPad thing, is that I think the best thing for ZBrush would be that it could become more broad, that we get more people to try it, because I have a lot of fun, and there's like nuanced differences why someone might choose ZBrush, you know, and it's whatever tool people want to use. But a lot of people have an iPad already. Not a lot of people have desktops these days, and that's what kind of excites me, other than like there is some fun, like, hey, you can do pro level work on the couch, and that's super cool. It's fun. But I think the thing that's most exciting to me personally is like this could be the start of the next evolution, because if more people get into using ZBrush, you know, like the more users that use it, the more feedback you get, the more things get whittled down, because putting ZBrush on a new platform like this already kind of forces the idea to rethink how do we deliver all of these tools, you know? And the UI, UX experience has been one of the biggest hurdles for newcomers. And so I just think it's really cool and exciting that here it is in people's hands soon, and that they'll be able to make fun stuff. And I'm excited for what that means for ZBrush for desktop as things like evolve. And then I think it could be really good for adding like a whole new generation of artists and stuff to do the stuff that we love doing. So to me, I think that was the most exciting thing about the whole iPad thing, in addition to making stuff in your bed. So yeah, I know that went super fast because those time lapses were awesome, but I could probably show, I guess I could show a little demo, I don't know. I mean, I kind of have done this before, I suppose, but I don't do anything too fancy, but you know, just, oh, hello. That was probably the 130 million one, okay. But yeah, tell me when you're bored to death, but I could just do some skin stuff. This is what I do normally. Do it. Yeah, maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll, also the keyboard, I know that's cheating, but dude, it's so awesome. Like when I got the keyboard, I was like, holy smokes. It's like the same thing. All right, here we go. All right, so now we're like super crazy detailed. So anyways, so we'll do this some nice satisfying pore dragging out. We'll store a little morph target. Let's see if I can remember. With what? Who? What? What?
Target all
I
the
kind of
way
want to
down.
just keep making this go as long as possible.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks, dude.
You're in the subtool menu right now. There you go.
All right. So yeah, just dragging out some brushes. Again, I think this is cool that I made this like years ago on desktop, and you can just add and use like the whole huge library of things that people have made is already ready to go. I love that. Does this creep people out? I don't know. Sometimes it's a little creepy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, so then maybe we do a little bit of this. All right, so then my favorite part is like breaking it up with wrinkles and stuff. The silence makes it seem like it's super important. It's like just so dumb. I feel like I've trapped all of you and just like, this is what I do. Welcome to my brain. So anyways, just showing like what the, just like this for a long time. But yeah, it's fun and relaxing. Obviously, this is the kind of like art that I would do. Everyone can do like what they're into, and I think that's what's so cool is that essentially just all the things that I've been doing and like the other artist was doing translate, and you don't have to, like the fact that he bought an iPad, I bought a new iPad too. I feel like Apple's gonna make a grip off this. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think that's so cool, right? That like the learning curve is not that bad. And I think, again, I think that's the biggest thing to emphasize is that it's the same. And I think that's why it's cool for pros and why it's cool for maybe introducing this to a lot more people because to do, I mean, you know, ZBrush is used, everyone knows in here knows, but that's really compelling. For me, like it was really compelling when I was younger to think the tool that people use to make the dragons in Game of Thrones or like Thanos or something, like, you know, is on an iPad. I mean, you know, you can just use it, and the only gap there is playing with it, getting used to it, and learning and improving. I just think that's really, really compelling. So it makes me excited for the future of sculpting in ZBrush.
All right, all right. Well, JL, thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome, dude.
Great work, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for the invite.
Awesome. Let's do one more round of applause for Jay Hill. All right, Paul.
What happened?
You could speak.
Oh, thank you. Everyone's having fun? Yes, all right, good. Feels good to be back together, right?
Oh, come on.
Look at you, look at you. Feels great to really be with you guys, and I'm excited for this. So it's mine and Ian's turn, so buckle up as
Let's
usual.
go.
It's gonna be some good times. Look at, great start, great
Yep.
start. Love it already, right? So we're very excited to share some more stuff with you all. And again, by all means, always come to us for any questions or things that you might have. My email is ianrobinson@maxon.net.
Yeah.
Feel free to email. My phone number is 828. No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to see
yeah.
a lot of me in the future for iPad. So, yeah, really, buckle up.
Yeah, we're already going to have videos that Ian and Rodolfo have been working on for you guys when we do launch. There's already going to be some videos there. There's literally a arm's massive length of documentation that the team's been working on. Solomon's been working on that. Like, I'm serious. I don't know. He went down a rabbit hole of just information. So we're really excited that we're going to have all that too for you guys when we release. So we want to go through a couple things for you quickly that I know that we've seen online people asking about. So you guys are going to get some information right now that's going to be important that you've been waiting for and clamming to understand. So the first thing I really want to highlight about this is I think Jay and Lucas have also been highlighting this really well. One of our goals when we set out for this project was thinking about ZBrush, right? Is a massive program. You guys are using it on a regular basis. What you can do with it is ridiculous. We love seeing it. There's this website called ZBrush Central. Don't be shy, don't be bashful. Put it up, put some work up there. We love seeing it. I see the blank spares.
Yeah. Make an account, ZBrush Central.
fine.
Make an account and post.
I will kill your license unless you post on ZBrush Central.
Whoa.
And I still have access to Pixelogic's licensing system. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. So, but it was really a big goal. This is why we wanted Lucas too, and why I kind of picked him as a first person for a challenge. High polygon count, and obviously you saw Jay's bringing us up. It's ZBrush. This is the point. It is ZBrush. It's not stripped down. That's not the goal. We want you guys to feel like you're just using ZBrush on an iPad, and the iPads are so amazing now, and what we can do with them is incredible, right? Customization, I'm going to show you a little demo too of this. This was a big thing. We know the way you guys operate. When you really start diving into ZBrush and get going, you guys do a lot of customized things. Tongues hanging out, elbows on the keyboard. I get it. I love it. I want some pictures. But we understand that, and we are taking an opportunity, honestly, for this to really look at what more we can do with ZBrush for customization. I think this ZBrush for iPad is one of the first steps into us to really start thinking even a little bit more different of what we can do for you guys to customize your experience with ZBrush. The other thing that was really important to us was the brush system, right? You guys are using ZBrush because of what you can do with the system, how the brushes work. We needed to have that in the iPad version, right? And we did it. The team killed it. We were able to accomplish that. It's the whole system. As you saw, Jay was loading up, and Luke was loading up brushes that they've built on the desktop and bringing them in the iPad. We wanted to have that synergy and have that there for you, right? So features are an important thing for us all. We're using various features. This is, again, ZBrush. you're going to have all the major features that you're using on a regular basis for version 1.0. There are some features that we weren't able to get done for this first version, but we ain't even close to being done, right? So the team was just going through things that we would like to do, and I'm telling you, I'm like, guys, this is great. We've got like 10 years of stuff. Awesome, let's go. Our minds are going crazy right now, the things that we can come up with and do now that we're on an iPad. We've got also desktop. There's just so much things we can think about. So a lot of the major features are already here in version 1.0, and it was a huge accomplishment. We made a list. We were really hoping to get things done that we could get in here, and I think the team just killed it. Guys, I can't stress this enough, what the team had, the sweat and the tears. It's the same we all hear, but so many people put so many hours and were just passionate about, we want this to be the best experience for you guys as an artist. We want you to be able to express yourselves, be going in mobile, having an iPad, being in a meeting. You know, you're sculpting a lion, go to the zoo and sit right in front of a lion and watch it and sculpt it there.
No. Go to Africa and sculpt the lion.
Oh,
okay, don't do not just the zoo.
So you had to one-up me.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, sweet.
You know.
All right.
I'm going to book my plane ticket to space for the moon sculpt I'm going to do.
Yeah. Right, but this is kind of the thought process we're thinking about, right? Sitting out at a park, sitting on your couch, on the bed, you know, doing different things too. So that was important for us, and really trying to give you that feeling. And then, of course, because we're on an iPad, right? Let's really embrace this. We're going to show you guys some gesture things that we did, some things that we did with the pencil. That's going to hopefully speed up your experience even more, because you have it now with being on an iPad, really taking advantage of that. And one of my last big points was like having that synergy. We want, again, just like Jay was talking about, how crazy it is you could, or in Lucas, start on the iPad, go to your desktop, go from your desktop back to your iPad. We wanted to make sure that was there for you, and that you didn't have any loss and feel the way you were working and how you were being inside of ZBrush. So the team has just been doing some really fun stuff, so it's really exciting. So getting your hands on ZBrush for iPad, right? So there are going to be 4 ways. Yes, there's going to be a free version, right? So you guys are going to have a free version. Anybody that can go get their iPad, go get ZBrush, is going to be able to do that, right? Of course, it's going to be a version that has some, not every single feature, not every single brush, right? But we really want to make sure people can go get into ZBrush, get going for free, especially, you know, if I'm a 2D artist that's also sculpting a little bit with their hands and they want to get involved in a digital, ZBrush is a great conduit for people to jump into. So we felt like, you know what, let's give the community a free version that they can just get rolling and going with, right? And it's pretty powerful, actually, the free version itself. Then you guys are going to have, obviously, 3 subscriptions. There's your Maxon 1 subscription, there's your ZBrush subscription, and there will be individual Apple-only app subscriptions as well for you guys, too. So I want to cover a little bit about that, because this is what was going around the internet, right, of understanding what it's going to do for you guys, how you're going to be able to get your hand on it. So I'm happy to say anybody that already has a Maxon 1 subscription, when we do launch ZBrush for iPad, you get it. You just get it, period. You have a Maxon 1 subscription, right? So this is some you guys have an understanding that maybe not know. Maxon 1 is every product that we develop at Maxon. So there's a great point that Lucas was bringing out, that he took it to Cinema 4D, he rendered in Redshift, right? He was using that whole suite to really experiment and try things out. So this is a way for you guys to do that. Obviously, your monthly is $169, and annually it works out to be $105.41 per month. Again, these are also USD, because I'm in America.
You are, very much so.
I love that one-person laugh.
One person.
That's great. Okay, thank you. All right, so of course, again, the big news is if you do already have Maxon 1, you're going to get ZBrush for iPad. Okay, your ZBrush subscription now, you have an individual subscription for ZBrush. Monthly, it's $49. Annually, it's $399, again, USD. Yes, you get ZBrush for iPad automatically with your ZBrush subscription. You'll get it. And if you guys didn't know, you also do get Redshift CPU as well. So actually, if you have a ZBrush subscription, you get ZBrush, ZBrush for iPad, and Redshift CPU version. Right? Just having that subscription alone, you'll have that. So we wanted to make sure that was available to you guys immediately, and having that for those that get it. So again, when we launch day 1, for those of you that already have these 2 subscriptions, it's going to be there. You're going to be able to get ZBrush for iPad and get right into the version that we've made that is the subscription version. Okay? Again, everyone can get the free version. You can go get that for sure. So the other big news that obviously everybody's been waiting for is the individual subscription to the iPad-only version. So you will be able to get the iPad-only version for $9.99 a month, or if you want to do it annually for $89.99. Okay, not excited about that. All right, all right.
You got to pause for like a second.
I get it.
I know,
I
I
get
know,
it.
I
I
know.
get it. I get it.
I know.
Guys, it's the power of ZBrush for $90 a year. Like, that's crazy,
Yeah.
right? So
And it
that's
keeps
good.
you updated throughout the whole time. So that's the subscription,
Yes.
$90. Yeah.
Right, so we're going to have these options for you all to get into the ZBrush for iPad. So this is a great thing for us to do. This is the first time, obviously, ever we're announcing these pricing too. This has not been known, so it's the first time we're announcing that to the public. So I think it's a great way for us to get in, get going. ZBrush, have a free version. You really loving it. Get right into one of our subscriptions and get going and get all the other features that would be available to you in the subscription. We're never going to be done, too. We're constantly already working, doing things already in the next version, in all honesty, and moving along. So I want to move on to let's put it in action now.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm going to hand it over to you.
My turn?
Your turn.
My
and
turn?
you're going to put this in order
I am.
and rock and roll, right?
Yeah, well, we've already seen me throw a pencil, so that's not good. All right. First and foremost, as soon as it's up on the screen, there it is. The one thing I want to call out when it comes to how do you get started, especially if you've never touched ZBrush before, is this little guy right over here where it says need help. That is actually going to be your direct link to tutorials that was mentioned earlier that Rodolfo and I had put together. So you're going to get used to our voices quite a lot, but that's going to get you started immediately. It's like 20 videos. They're like 4 minutes a piece max. So that's going to be the way to kind of help you out and so forth. And as you can see here, I already have some projects. Not all of them are mine. We have a few from our beta testers, so thank you to them. We'll be shouting them out as we do it. But the very first thing I want to point out is my boss's head. He's right there. It's okay, cool. So basically, we scanned him at the summit last year. If you guys remember, we had the scan truck guys there. Let's go ahead and click that guy. And I decided, you know what, from my couch on a weekend, I just chopped him up and threw him in the iPad version and cleaned him up and got him ready for 3D printing. And what's really, really cool is those blue dots that you see. So anytime you're presenting or recording your screen, those dots show up immediately. And what I like about that is, what the heck am I doing? Whee, we're squeezing. So it's all about just knowing where everything's at, and you guys can follow along. The other thing is, if you've been using ZBrush for a while, you'll notice your hand that doesn't do the sculpting has nothing to do, right? Well, at the same time, we have our nice little widget guy over here. We have a bunch of brushes. So you can get comfortable using two hands. And a lot of the gesture systems within the iPad version is very familiar to any other app you've been using, like 2 fingers to go ahead and undo, 3 to redo, etc. But all that actually can be found up in the user settings, which the tutorials, I won't bore you with that, I promise. The tutorials will do that for me.
Did someone say training?
Somebody said training.
Okay, just making
That's
sure.
me. So what I do want to do, though, is showcase just a couple things real fast, and then Paul will tell me I'm doing it wrong and we'll correct. But for the most part, one of the things that I really, really like is not only did we just take features that are known in ZBrush throughout the previous years, they've also added in a bunch of other really fun features. Some of the new ones, like, for example, proxy pose, which is one of my newest favorite underrated features. I swear it's gonna get really popular really quickly. So what is proxy pose? I've said this before, we'll do it again. Also, I'll let Paul explain what's going on over here, but a little customization. So here I have my scan, but I'm gonna go ahead real quickly and just, I would actually wanna mask him off and start moving him. But as you can see, right, it's actually quite dense. If we turn on my wireframe, he's a little bit dense. And so of course I'd have to, tap and soften the mask and all that stuff, right? So proxy pose is gonna solve that problem for me, where basically what I can do here is I can come on up to proxy pose, and instead of just turning it on, I can actually go ahead and do a reduction. And let me turn on the wireframe so you can really see that in action. Let's blow that up. So let's go ahead, 2-finger tap, undo, and as you can see, as I'm coming through, and it even gives me the percentage at the top center. And you can see something like,
I love that you pointed at that, but they can't see your finger. You do know that, right?
Here.
There's a blue dot that says where your finger is.
I know, hold on, it's right there. Boom. Anyway, yeah, that's my bad. So now.
I'll do it too, don't worry.
Yeah. So here now, of course, I can come through, do my masking. Whee, there it is, a little softy, softy, softy. And then from there, go ahead and start moving his head around. Yes. We could do it. Perfect. And, you know, you can get some really cool Beetlejuice effects. So once you're all done with that, so actually I'm going to go ahead and just do really, really weird. See, you can have fun with it. That's the whole point of ZBrushing, is to have fun with your art and stuff like that. But again, if I push things too far, we'll just go ahead and tap back. But let's go ahead and give a nice little gesture, move it up, looking up. Yes. Little demure. There we go. Yeah. Perfect. There we go. He's looking right there.
Very Greek.
Very, very. Boom.
Yeah.
And with a quick little button, 3 fingers, hit that proxy pose, turn that off, and there you go. So you can see that already. So newer features in 2023 and 24 have actually come into the ZBrush for iPad, which is really, really fun, which I love that one so much.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got to clap.
Thank
We got to
you.
clap.
Yeah.
We got to clap. Just slow roll clap.
It was perfect. I love that. Just
Did you pay for that
ease
clap?
it.
What happened over there?
You're not supposed to say.
All right, sorry.
One of the other features I wanted to call out, which is actually really near and dear to me, which is repeat to similar. Now, this model is done by Anna Schmelzer, so thank you, Anna, for this. And as you can see, she has this beautiful mermaid here, and of course, she has a lot of different things. Well, my art director, this guy, says, hey, you know what? Those pink flowers, we should change that color. We really should. So I said, okay, yeah, we can do that. So real quick, let's turn on a wireframe, and of course you can see here, I have all these different flowers, and they're not welded together, but I don't want to spend all day painting flowers, and I don't want to use masking options to do that. So instead, what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're just really going to focus on these guys. In fact, we're even going to double tap, so I'm going to click on that little shift and drag my finger to that little control. I'm going to tap to isolate, just like we did before, Control-Shift. And now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go and do some painting. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of painting. Boom, done. Okay, and I just backed that up, so hold on, let's paint again. It's going to happen a lot of accidents. Okay, so now from here, we're just going to go ahead and see that we have everything. Well, up here at the very top, we actually have our history. And this is super important, of course, because the feature relies on undo history. So here on this spot, I'm just going to go ahead and tap that little icon, and then I'm going to slide back and forward in time. And then from here, we are just going to go ahead, geometry, repeat the similar parts, and I'm going to focus on these little colors, apply similar, boom. All of that is done and ready to go. So, and I can already see your face saying, why was that feature? It's been here. So now we have it, and it's just that quick, it's that simple, and it's little things like that that we are trying to pay attention to when it comes to the features that make your life a lot easier moving forward in ZBrush and giving you that powerful experience. I paid for that one.
You waited for that one. I got what you did there. I like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I got one more model for you guys and two things. But the first one, actually, I've had a lot of fun with this one. And we actually partnered up with Monster Clay. And
Who are here?
They are here. Where are they?
There they
Yeah,
are.
let's give a round of applause. Woo!
There they are.
That guy right there.
Arnold and Alex, yes.
All right. So we partnered with them because Monster Clay is one of the most notoriously known clays for traditional sculpting. And of course, we thought, well, you know, look really, really good in ZBrush. That would be pretty cool. So as you can see, we actually have some standardized materials here where I can come ahead and click through. By the way, this Kong sculpt is done by George Nogard.
Jorge.
My apologies.
No, George was fine though, but Jorge,
Okay.
yeah.
Jorge Nogard, and such a beautiful sculpt. And so we thought, you know what, it'd be really cool to see the different variations of how this would look in Monster Clay. So here's like a matte cap version, and of course I can just hit render, throw my pen on the floor.
So you did do it. Look at that. I got it.
Now we're good.
I got it. Keep
Boom, there you go. So it's rendered already,
Render win.
BPR, just a little bit of a setting. But what if I wanted some light control? So this was like a matte cap version. So now I'm going to go ahead and let Paul dig for the other pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and grab this version, which is the standard version. And then
Where
if
did
I
it go?
go ahead and go BPR again, you can now see that there's a different lighting setup because this is a standard material, and it's just really good to work with something that's familiar to the real world, especially if you work with statues. You doing good down there?
Seriously, where is it?
I got it. It's right
Oh,
here.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I was that fast. I just wanted to make him dig on the floor. So That is one of the cool new additions to the iPad version.
Yeah, we actually asked him to sculpt this specifically for the thought process because he uses monster clay, right? There's another one of these journeys where we're thinking about you guys as artists, thinking about what you're doing. You're using ZBrush, but you're also using other things to be creative with. So this is something that we're like, hey, let's do a challenge. Let's see what you could do in the ZBrush for iPad, sculpt it with the material that looks like you're using monster clay itself, and see how that feels for him and give that, that feeling like, okay, I'm getting a digital twin from the clay to the iPad, right? And these are going to be available in both iPad and desktop version, these materials. You're going to have all 6. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Did you pay for that one?
Yeah. No.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So that is something to call out. And also, too, I just want you guys to know that, my iPad is actually set really nice and comfy on this Sketchboard Pro, who is also here, by the way. So thank you very much for the Sketchboard Pro. It actually holds my iPad really nice and well. It's over there. Holds it really, really well. And what's neat about it is the fact that I can have it wherever I need it to be. So if you find yourself sculpting on the couch or at the beach or at Africa or the moon, then you'll basically have something that has it nice and secure. So this is really, really comfy. But now,
Yep.
yeah. You want to do something?
I get to go now?
You get to go something. I can throw this at you.
Don't throw it.
Okay.
I'll go. All right, I'll go.
Okay.
So I got what, 2 hours?
Yeah, in
All right,
35
sweet.
seconds.
Sweet. I love the reaction. No, please.
No.
Absolutely not. Are we done?
Yep.
Okay, great. With
We're
the
done.
pencil thing here over here. All right. So I want to dive into some other things for you guys to really see. Again, thinking about being an artist, thinking about being on something like an iPad, what you're going to be able to do. Again, we're just pulling up work that was done on the iPad by artists. So this is Daniel Angelosi, who actually did a series of what he called Riders. This is one of his rider pieces that he did, where he's got this little guy riding on a fish. All done again also on the iPad version. So I'm going to pull up a couple models as we go here, but I really want to dive also deeper into the UI elements here too for you guys to figure out when you get this on your hands and what you're going to be able to do with it is pretty exciting. So again, like Ian said, this is your widget. This is your modifier wheel in essence. But this is in essence like having your shift key. So this is your shift key. Notice that the brushes on the bottom switch to your smoothing brushes. This is your control key. My favorite icon, the mask thing here. I love it. Okay, this is switching to all your control brushes. This is your Alt key, which in essence, sculpting in and out. This is your quick menu, which I'm super excited about this. This one's going to be fun. You can move it around in different spots, but that's not even the fun part. We're going to get to that, okay? But I want to show you how thinking about this, talking to the testers, getting them involved really early as fast as possible, thinking about how we're doing things. I'm going to go ahead and just kill the tray for now, and let's dive. You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
It's my tray.
Let's dive a little deep in here, and so you guys can see a couple things from that. I will take absolutely no questions, but here we go.
You have to pay them.
No, I think they're just ready for some drinks. Okay.
Let's go.
So clap for the drinks. Go ahead, Lucas. Go ahead. Yes! Who cares about ZBrush iPad? I want drinks.
Yeah.
All right. So I get it. You guys just want to hang out. I love it. People helping people. Beautiful. All right. So what we wanted to think about is obviously we have ZBrush Desktop. It's going to be the 25th anniversary next year, right? That's how long ZBrush has been around. There is a lot. There's a lot of code. There's a lot of things you're going, wow, all right. Okay. So I'm very excited the fact that we thought about this and thinking, look, we got to have some kind of ability where an artist starting on the desktop can come to the iPad, get a little bit of understanding, have some of that key things that are there that they're used to, but then taking, we're on an iPad. It is a smaller screen space, but then there's so many more things we're going to be able to do. So obviously we have the simple brushes that we think you'll use the most down here is kind of just quick access, like get to these as fast as you can, right? We also set up this bottom bar to kind of be like a journey that we found over the years that you all take. So i.e., this is actually your Dynamesh. So there's all the controls are there. You're getting all the same features that you're used to having on the desktop, but just putting it right there at your finger, because then we can take advantage of long press. So what I'm doing is I'm long pressing here, okay? So I'm going to pull in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So what I want to highlight is down here. Look at here. There we go. This little little triangles you see, those are your keys, those are long presses. So this is obviously got a long press for Dynamesh, okay, as you can see. You're also going to have things like your Z-remesher. You're also going to have, this is going to have the ability to also have a Dynamesh. So you got Dynamesh, you got Sculptris Pro. Also, you've got Z-remesher, you've got your subdivision levels, and then this last one's live Boolean.
That's kind of like an order of operation.
Yeah, that's kind of what our goal was, is like, that's kind of the flow you'll tend to go in a sculpt, right? So just trying to those out. So all these things, all these icons have long press ability, right? So you have your symmetry actions right here. Do you want to turn your symmetry on? Do you want radial? You don't have to go to another menu, right? That's what we're trying to also think about as much as we can. And like I said, this has given us opportunities to experiment and think about the way that we've been working on ZBrush. That's your framing button. So trying to get things there. So moving over to the left side though, we wanted to take a look at, as you guys know, when you open up and you're on large monitors, you get your brush of hundreds, thousands of brushes, who knows how many you have. ZBrush ships with around 500 total, I would say. So we had to do something about this, right, to make it organized. So you've got folders, you got a structure here, so you might even discover some brushes you didn't even know about that have been there for probably 25 years, but it's fine. It's cool.
Just a bit.
It's not like we don't have videos online. I get it. So like, took like there's sculptural brushes, and then just having them here and only being able to see those, right? And then having the ability to have a favorites. So if you have a brush that really, oh, there's a clap for a favorites.
Yeah.
All right.
I use
And now
that
it's just
lot.
a golf clap. Now it's just a golf clap. All right, so you're going to have two locations to do something like this, and this is the kind of thought process we're taking advantage of having the iPad. So you got a little heart up here, and you can see now the layer brush is a favorite. I can come down here and say I can long press on this, add that to a favorite. Now it's a favorite as well. You have your recents category too, so you can look at your brushes in a simpler, really simple way. You also have the alphabet here, so if you want to just look at only brushes that start with D, then we're only giving you the brushes that start with D. So it's just a more smoother, simplistic way of being able to work. You can minimize things so that you can get more space while you're working on your iPad. Then we're saying, well, we're in brushes, why not then just give the user the ability to go right to the brush palette? And that way I can literally stay right here and get everything that I need within this menu right now. So I don't have to jump around as much. This is what we're trying to take advantage of. We also put options here where you can see you do all your creating within that top icon. So you can see how much I have just in this brush picker. And then we just took that idea and spread it to the rest of the pickers, right? This side's called the picker. So when just all these are gonna have like ability to go through, we have some hard surface alphas, then you can go into the alpha palette, see the options we have here. So I'm really excited about the direction that we took here. I think it really streamlined some stuff for us as users and as artists, being able to just quickly look at things and get to stuff. Like there's a long press even for color picking. You can see it swaps your colors as you long press because it's got that little triangle right there. Okay, this is where you can pick a color. You can click on that, and then you tap on any color you want, and boom, you got your color there, right? You got your options again. So we're trying to create some kind of familiarity to you now, also on the iPad, right? And then streamline it as much as we can. So as an artist, the number one thing you guys are going to change the most, besides using this little modifier wheel, is your draw size, right? You're going to change that a lot. You might change your focal shift, your Z intensity. So we put all the sliders in one location right here on the left, okay? So you can tap and just get your draw size, and then you can, here I'll get, and then adjust it wherever you want. So here we'll get this over here. And then you can move your draw size however you want, right? And keep that open the whole time if you want to keep it open. Again, getting familiarity, these little dots are telling you, hey, look at me, right? I've got features right there, right? So this is what we were trying to do to really hone in this thought process. Now, for me, this is not actually my personal preferred method for changing my draw size. It's just a personal preference, and that's kind of what we started experimenting here. So you guys can click, open them. But it has a little triangle, and you can literally just long press and just slide your thumb up and down in my case, and then let go, and it's gone, right? So it's another way to access, and then boom, gone. I don't have to click, open it, but we wanted to make sure you guys had that open the whole time if you did really want that open. Now, because we're on an iPad, the other thing we did is use our fingers, right? So you guys are going to be able to do 3 fingers and then move your fingers up and down, and your draw size can actually adjust right? So here I'll switch to something also a little different this time. Let's go to a new sculpt. I'm excited. There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
Woo. Right, so you can see I can adjust my draw size with 3 fingers up and down. I can adjust my focal shift, 3 fingers right. Oh, I saw some face actions there. I saw some jaws being dropped. See, only jaw drop I'll get in my life, but okay. I love that ZBrush is really the only thing that gives myself. All right, never mind. Let's move on. In my head right now. Okay, so this is kind of the process of customizing, thinking about how we can take advantage. Like Ian said, you already have the ability to, to do the 2-finger tap, 3-finger tap to undo, redo. But we didn't want to stop there with thinking about these gestures with your hands now that you have on an iPad. So in your settings, these are options here for you. You guys can adjust things and do what you want. So if you don't want undo, redo to be 2 and 3 finger, because you just want to use, here I'm going to go to clay build-up, you just want to use these over here, right, to go through your undos, redos, you can. So we can say, well, how about I just change my fingers to do what I want the action to do. And in this version, we're setting up with what we have found from you, what are the more popular features you guys like to do the most, and that way it's at your disposal with your fingers instead of not even going to a menu at all, right? So you guys are going to have the ability to customize a 2-finger, 3, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
They're warming up to you, Paul.
I feel so much better. Okay, so you've got a 2-finger, 3-finger, and a 4-finger. You're going to be able to do all that. But obviously we have this in our hands now, right? And the pencil, and obviously this is the Apple Pencil Pro. This has even some other features in it itself. So you have things besides a double tap, right? So I can say fit. It's not to put me in shape. It's to, in essence, frame the model, right? So the pencil can double tap. You see, I'm not anywhere near the iPad either. This is what Apple's done. So I can, boom, frame my mesh with the double tap. So this is the Pro. So I also have squeeze, right? So I can do polyframe if I want to, and then I can squeeze my hand on this pencil and turn polyframe. So now I've got a double tap, right, to fit. I got a squeeze to turn my polyframe on and off, which is really nice. Yeah, nice, eh?
Do we have one where when you throw it on the ground?
I don't have one on the ground. It could be called haptics, though, because it bounces. And this pencil has haptic, right? And you can do that in ZBrush. So any sliders, for example, these sliders over here, so if we go into any of these, this little slider right here, ooh, for me, it feels great. It's ticking in my hand right now. You guys don't know that, but that's what it's doing.
Trust the process.
Just trust it. Just trust me. Okay, I get it. You guys are like, dude, he's crazy. Yes, I am.
Wait till you feel it.
So this slider, as you can see, has little dashes. I'm feeling that in the pencil every time I move. I can feel it go, 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 right? And there's some other places that we've done this with, right? So this is just getting going for us right now. We also have finger sculpting. Yes, ooh, modern art. Love it. Okay, why not? So you can actually turn that off. That's what this touch navigation is. So now if I'm seeing, now I can see I can rotate over the model. Because, if you're too close, right, you want to be able to rotate where you are in this location, right? And of course, we're using the fingers. So something we did, which noticing the artist working, especially, I'm going to go to another model for fun. We've seen this guy for long enough. Let's go back to our home. Let's load Enzo's model here. Beautiful piece that was done also in the iPad. Very cool piece, right? So you have the ability to have, obviously, navigation. This is just your rotation. You can pinch to zoom, but the one thing I want to stress, what we did was really cool. I noticed Lucas was doing this quite a bit when he was doing. You guys noticed when he was zooming, he was also rotating at the same time to get it where he wanted to make the right stroke that he wanted. Because we don't do this and this when we sculpt. We do, in different necks. So you can actually, at the same time, zoom and rotate. Okay. And this was really cool. But if you don't like that, again, going back to that customization, you are the user, you want to do some things, you guys are going to be able to turn that on, turn that off, right? So you have navigation options. So you can see right here, there's roll gesture. This is what's allowing me to rotate and actually zoom at the same time. The center pinching navigation is about me being able to where my fingers are pinching, right? That's where I want you to zoom to. Right, so if I go way over here, right, I might want to have that off. But maybe I'm a user that wants it on, so now if it's on, you'll see that he starts moving away because it's all about now where my fingers are, right? That's what it's looking for, is where my fingers are, okay? So we wanted to give you guys the options to do this. Another thing that's nice about this is you have different rotations. So like, for example, I can say rotate Y, and here's another cool one you guys can do. So if you guys can do this where you rotate, if you lift a finger, you can now also rotate. So you can, right, so it's again, you are going to zoom in and out, rotate this way, but if you do a zoom and then let go of a finger, then you have this ability to actually keep rotating.
Yeah.
Focus, yes, focus,
Yeah.
yes. Okay?
Paul,
Yes?
what if you have giant hands like I do, and they just are like slapping my iPad? They're just all over this.
You mean like you did during the entire beta
Yep,
process?
yep,
you mean
yep.
that problem?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my personal problem.
Yes. But it's everybody. You weren't the only one that brought this up, right? A lot of people brought this up. You guys are going to start resting on possibly your iPad. That's why having something like this Sketchboard Pro is really nice. I can rest on here. It goes back to my drawing days as me as a drawer. So we have a palm rejection radius here that you guys can set. The lower the number, the less it looks at your hands and your fingers, right? The higher number, then the more it's going to look at your hand. So as a user, you can adjust this. I personally have found 60s seems to be my sweet spot. Same for you,
Same,
yeah,
yep.
same for you, right? So, but you guys can go adjust it. Everybody's different. Everyone wants a different sweet spot. Louis put his at like 90, you know, that was just what he liked to do. So everyone's different, and that's what we also wanted to have that experience for you in version, guys, this is version 1.0, right? Like all this stuff that we're putting in here is pretty exciting. Now, I talked about that little modifier over here. You guys can also do something else with that. You can make it extra large, you can make it small, but if you're somebody that maybe doesn't like icon driven, you can actually just turn the labels on and then you see Control Shift, Alt, and Space, right? So you can actually see what those are doing. Then if you're a big Apple person, these are the Apple icons that relate to the keyboard, right? So there are a lot of people that are that way and that really know these icons and also want to go that. So you have 3 options here. I just said we're making the default this one because dang it, I love the mask icon, darn it, and that's what we're doing, okay?
I love it.
Love it.
I love it.
Okay. So with that said, I want to talk quickly about some other really cool items. Something that has always been asked for is what Ian already talked about, a floating palette. So this is what we call a tray. You guys can open and close this. You can move this wherever you want and then reopen it and reclose it. I can say, actually, I also want to add floor grid. I also want to add maybe lighting, and then they're all here for me to get quick access to. I can long press if I want to, right, on this. I can close that tab. So I can bring them over like this, okay? So I can either drag it over right from the palette, or I can come down here and add them there. You also can bring your pickers over and add your pickers as well. So again, having that feel like I want my way to do things, okay? So with that thought process, a lot of the beta testers brought up, well, Paul, the one thing that we always want to access is subtools. So we ripped it out and made it its own icon and made its own thing so you guys can rip off subtools and just literally have only subtools available to you. And you guys can adjust things however you want, make it to be the size you want. So you got adjusters here, you got adjusters here. You have a long press ability on your subtools to get your actions here. You've got all your icons along the top. This is where you can append and insert, right? So moving from this across, this is a duplicate, this is create a new folder, right? All that stuff is here, and then all the other wonderful options of subtools is right there, right? It's about, you guys are gonna get used to this. Some of these icons are gonna be constantly be given to you in the same spot, same location, same idea, okay? So, you know, we knew when an artist gets going on this, and I gotta pull, every demo I gotta pull this guy up. I think it's just mandatory, the demo head. Why not? He's gotta be there, always gotta be there.
He's so handsome.
I'm gonna kill you because that blue dot that won't go away is driving me nuts.
You mean the one that they can see so they know what you're doing?
That one.
Can't
No,
hide
but
it
the
anymore.
stuck up there, I don't know
Okay.
why. I blame Paul. That's
Well,
who
yeah.
I blame.
Yeah.
Right. Probably shouldn't have done it because now look, it doesn't like me.
I'll write him up.
Doesn't wanna launch. Oh, no thanks.
It's a feature.
It's telling me I shouldn't have did that, is what it's telling me. Oh, I know, hold on, I know probably might be the issue here. I know.
Yeah, you're gonna troubleshoot.
Yeah, I'm gonna troubleshoot live.
So
I'm
in
gonna
training,
troubleshoot.
if nothing happens in this way, we didn't do it right. So you always have to have a little bit of a mystery.
I'm gonna turn off the Wi-Fi real quick and see. There you go. The internet, always in my way. Just saying. Okay, so back to him. So looking at this, moving along and doing art and thinking about the processes and what you guys are going to want to do, it's nice having this, but it's not enough. Okay, so we wanted to give you guys more. So down here at the bar, you guys are going to be able to customize this. You're going to have up to 5 that you can do whatever you want with. Okay, we have the default because there's things we just need to make available and be there, and you're going to be able to put brushes, alphas, textures, and materials in this bottom bar. This is the mindset, is that bottom bar is more about getting the quick things like your brushes, your materials that I want to swap through really fast. It's not about getting to the settings of things, it's about, I just need a brush and go. I need a brush and go. I want a new material and go, all right? So what's really cool about this is if I want to create a custom one, I can see the custom bar. All I do is long press, drag down, long press, drag down. If you tap, I'm going to.
Yeah.
You can get information. You can also press here and add the bar there. But this is the fun thing. Again, embracing having an iPad. So let's say I'm a big hard surface person. I'm going to say I really love the bevel arc. I also like flat, flatten, polish, planar, and trim dynamic, and put them all in.
Yay!
At the same time. Right?
That's the trick.
Yeah.
I'll have that trick.
So you can delete then if you don't like them. You click and drag and put over in the trash. What also means is I don't want this, don't want this, don't want this, and then put over the trash, and then boom, they're gone. Right? So.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
one at a time. That's so
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah,
Jesus,
right.
Nope.
Right. Ooh, I like what you did there. Okay. So if we didn't end there, okay? So if you say done, and now I will see my little bar. If you notice, Jay and Lucas both had a bar there when they launched. They had these. They were already using them, okay? So this is also where the group felt like, hey, this is great. I see people using this on the desktop all the time, that space bar, right? Being able to get to this. It's nice to be able to put this where I want this to go, okay? And having quick actions. But if you notice, obviously, there is a lot to ZBrush. There's a lot of things in here, like the fiber mesh, thick skin. There's a lot for you guys to look at, right? If you notice, we also even got Decimation Master in there. It's in its own now palette, in essence, right? Transpose Master's in the subtool menu now. It's right there. You got a Transpose Master in there. There's a lot that you guys like to use over and over and over and over and over and over again, okay? So what we wanted to do is let's go up to the custom again, and let's do some custom quick menus. So that little menu, you guys are also going to be able to do what you want in there as well. And the beauty of this is you've got every single palette at your disposal. So yes, there we go. Okay, so if you want to drag anything up, same concept, you go what you want. Ooh, I love some blur mask, right? So I want to get the blur mask off, or maybe not, maybe it doesn't like me. There we go. And then doing some shrinking. And then same thing, if you again drag and then you tap, 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 and then it'll go into the menu and just plop in there right for you, right? Yeah, and so you can have up to 5 of these. Let's put a little bit more here. Let's go to geometry. Let's put some subdivision level stuff in there, right? So I'm going to put that. You know what? I want also those. I want that as well. Let's put all that in. Okay, where'd it go? We also can scroll up and down as well. So now when I come back, right, and I'm holding this, I've got it on the right side, right? I can just swipe now and then go up and down and swipe left to right and go through all these menus that I want to go through, right? And this is about some of the features now that you guys would use a lot, having it right there for you. And then you just position this in the 3 spots right now that you would like to position this, and then you're off and running, right? Pretty cool, right? Again, version 1.0, yes. All right, and then one of the other things that I really want to emphasize before we move on to some other items here.
Yeah.
Again, thinking about this, the file, you guys like to say, how many people are saving tools more than anything? All right, we got to rock it, rock it.
All right.
Everyone else are projects now? Everyone's saving projects, raise them. I like that almost, some people didn't raise their hand at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. All right, cool, great. We don't call them tools because Paul works for the company. You know, you're using them because you can use them as a brush too. We want you to decide. So right here you can see, you can pick, do you want to save projects? Do you want to save tools? Do you want it to be a save as, or save next? So up here in the top corner, you have save as, save next. But what we did is that single tap is what it's looking at is this right here. So you can now say, I don't have to long press and pick what I want to save. I can just tap, and then I can do, look at that, squeeze, squeeze, coming through, right? So it's another thing is, you do what you want. When I get going, I'm a big save next person, because that automatically makes iterations of your file over and over and over and over and over again, and that's my preferred method, right? So if I tap on this, it's going to ask me to save it first, right? Dude, yeah, right?
Sweet.
And now it's saving it, and then now my real art form comes into play. Abraham, all right, yes, right? And then now if I tap, boom, it's saved. And what it did is made an iteration for me. So every time now I'm doing this, I can just tap. It's about saving time for you, right? Moving forward. So it's really nice. So when I go back into my home state, and then we start looking at my sculpts, you can see there's a number 3, and then it shows me the iterations. So even if I'm working on a project, I can see my iterations. As an instructor myself, I'm going to find this really handy to see where you are with your modeling process, maybe go back to an older model and have a discussion. I think it was really cool that we were able to get this to work like that. And it's just another fast, right? It's really important for us to work as fast as you can. So with that said, one thing else I want to cover before Ian kicks me off the stage is thinking about you guys maybe that are advanced users, but then there's multiple levels, right? There's people that are going to pick up ZBrush for their first time. It's free. It's on an iPad. We wanted to try and streamline some things, so we have an import and export where everything that ZBrush iPad exports, imports, saves, and loads is now in one menu, right? So this is everything. You're importing, export. So this would be export and save, right? And then the import is your import, right? And then load. So you can see if I go to 3D model, you guys can click OBJ Maya USDZ new. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Right? And then this is where you can save a project or tool if you don't want it to save the way ZBrush for iPad saving. It's going to save to default folders that are tools and projects, but if you want to pick a location like in your downloads or on my iPad or on your iCloud, this is how you could do that. But this is a great way, just you can see everything you can import, export, all within one spot, right?
Right.
Yeah, pretty good?
Yeah.
You're happy about that?
Pretty good.
But
there's more.
yeah, I think we should probably, yeah, you want to move on to that one?
I want to just, real quickly.
Wait for it.
Time is of the essence.
Okay.
So pause
Beautiful.
perfect.
Beautiful. You got to.
I got to switch. I got to switchy.
You might have to turn off presentation mode.
I do. Yeah, I got to.
Darn presentation mode killed us today.
In the show.
Here. There we go.
Hey, this little guy.
Yes. What?
What?
What? That's the old model. Who is?
Hey, who are you? Hey, there's a mic.
Ladies and gentlemen,
over there.
Joseph Drust is here.
Woo! Yeah.
Jay
grab that
Drust
one.
is here.
Come on up,
Yeah,
buddy.
come on up. We
Go to
got
royalty,
a chair.
royalty,
Come on.
royalty.
What is going on here?
Come on.
Please,
What is going on?
All right,
I don't
please
know.
tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us what is going on.
So I stole your iPad,
Okay.
and I made some changes,
Oh
and you didn't update it.
no. So you're saying you got to have the update
Look,
and
we
get it
talked about this
All right.
He's so
before the
cute.
show.
So you guys, this is what I've over years. This is what Joseph's done
Look
to
how
me.
cute this guy is. Who
I
likes
like
this
that one.
model? Okay, good. He's one
Okay.
of my
And
favorites.
We went
So-
over the one. I gave
Yes.
you the updated one,
Yes.
and this
Yes.
is what you do.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
The wrong model.
It's my fault. Again,
Okay,
ABP.
Well, here, let me
What you got?
What
let
you
me
got?
send it to you.
Okay. All right. Send it to me. You're going to send it to
Let's send it to.
Let's send it to Ian.
Send it to
Yeah, I'll
Ian.
take
Alright,
it.
send it to
I'll
Ian.
take it.
Okay. So what are you going to do?
So I'm just pushing this little button here, this export.
Oh,
button.
so you're going to send it from the iPad straight
Yeah.
to the desktop. Is what
As
your
long,
goal
as
is.
long as you're on the network.
Yeah.
You gonna-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you on the network?
I
He
am.
is.
I am.
How,
Oh,
did
oh,
you,
oh.
It should be-
Oh,
should
look
be
at what's
coming.
that? Go
you
ahead.
hacking me now these days?
Give permission to do it. Say no. Say no.
No, come on.
Say
fine.
no. Oh.
Hey.
There you go.
Oh.
This guy's cute.
That's the new one.
He has a little iPad.
And it looks the same.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So guys, what Joseph just showed you guys is Go Z for iPad to desktop. He didn't hook up with any wiring at all. He sent straight from the iPad right to Joseph's desktop. So the desktop version of ZBrush is also getting an update to be compatible with the ZBrush for iPad. We're going to have we had to update. All right.
Hey,
All right.
hey, Paul.
Lucas's model that was 147 million, right, across multiple meshes. In my house network, I transferred that in 45 seconds from my iPad to my desktop. this model that I had picked up from Daniel, this model that's around 30 million, that transferred in like 8 seconds when I was doing it in my house, right? But the key thing here is it's got to be the same network, okay? And then there are factors here. You got VPNs and security and all that going on too. So, but we're excited to get this to you guys. This is one of these features that we were trying to make sure we got. And then things like this, Joseph could be sitting there sculpting and go, hey, I got to change, send it to you like we just did. So we're really excited about that. I know Joseph is as well, right? Joseph?
So I was not in the beta. And today was the first time I touched this. And it's
Why
amazing.
weren't you in the beta, Joseph?
I was busy.
You're busy. He doesn't have an iPad except his kids. So.
I don't have an iPad. My
Now
kids
you're
are-
going to get one.
I am. I'm going
There
to
you
totally
go.
get an iPad.
Yeah.
That way you can have yours back so I can have mine back.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There you go. There you go. All right. So again, the ideas here, everybody, is we're trying to give you the first version that really has as many features that you're used to, having that same flow, but then really taking advantage of the iPad space, what we can do with it, how we can use your fingers, how we can use the pencil, how we can make new custom ways of working with your fingers, your pencil, and then the menus themselves. And it's really a great step for us working on ZBrush to keep continuing thinking about how can we keep evolving, how can we changing. So it's not just for us even more about the features we're going to be giving you, it's going to be about the features and how we deliver them to you and what we can do for you differently now as well. So that's something that the team are all over is really excited about, all the people that are involved in getting us to this point, having this version ready for you guys. Okay, so what do you think? Is that it? Okay.
No, I'm super excited. Hopefully you guys are super excited as well.
Switch over.
It's a new look. Yeah, looking real good. It's a new look, and it's looking real good. It's a new look, and it's looking real good on you. It's a new look, and it's looking real good, just like it should. Yeah, looking real good.
My name is Jared Chavez. I'm a senior character artist in the games industry currently, working for Firewalk Studios. When I first started my career, I really enjoyed human characters. I really liked the idea of pushing realism. But as I've gotten further in my career, I've found that I enjoy creatures and things that are a little bit more free to put my own artistic interpretation in. I like a lot of creatures. I like a lot of like dark horror that is a twist on like childhood. So I've done a lot of, demonic Pokemon that I've done in the past. I've also done things that are inspiring me, like Winnie the Pooh is one that I'm currently working on. And that's really what I like to do with my free time, is make something that's pretty and poppy, but also kind of has a dark, sinister feel or undertone to it. I think that I push the boundaries of my skills and continue to be motivated by the fact that I feel like I'm a very competitive person. I like to compete with myself. I view a lot of artists, and not that I necessarily compete with them, but their inspiration, and they kind of drive that force for me to continue to get better. And I have that desire to know that I'm not at where I want to be. And so I continue to push every day in hopes that I can continue to improve myself, continue to improve my art, and make better and nicer looking characters at the end of the day. My first experience with ZBrush was an interesting one. I found out about it when I was in college from a friend. He was the person who actually got me introduced to 3D when I was in high school, and he told me about this application called ZBrush. I saw what it was making, and I didn't really believe it. It didn't seem really possible, but it was something that I knew that I wanted to try out and see if it was really worth all the hype. And, here I am today. It was, and it is a huge reason why I am where I am today. I think for me, the aha moment of ZBrush was really using the introduction of Sculptress Pro and the ability to use that in conjunction with like Dynamesh, and just how freeing and flexible it is to really create something out of nothing. To be able to take a sphere and start from that and move it all the way to something that looks like a clay sculpture is incredible, because I'm used to a pipeline of moving polys around, and that is kind of constraining, whereas ZBrush allowed for that freedom to just make what I wanted and to make anything. My experience with ZBrush for iPad has been great, I kind of spoke on the idea of ZBrush allowing this freedom to create whatever you wanted. I feel like it's the same kind of case with ZBrush for iPad. I've always wanted to be able to sit on my couch, sculpt something when that idea strikes, to have that opportunity to just put it down on paper. And I think that ZBrush for iPad really allows for that. And I think in the future, it allows for me and my workflow a lot more iteration, a lot more creative ideas, construction of characters quicker, and it allows me to get my ideas out a lot quicker. I see ZBrush for iPad being very helpful in all of my future projects. I think that ZBrush for iPad allows me to iterate quickly. It allows me to get my ideas out quickly, and it's a great place to start your idea, and you can take it as far as you want. It allows for that flexibility to really create top-tier work on your iPad and then take that and move it into the next part of your process. And for me, I think that that's incredibly vital. The cyberpunk character that I created, it was based on a concept by my friend John Grello that I worked with. And the idea for that piece was to be a learning opportunity to talk about the idea of art tests and how they're used in the industry to gain your first job. And so when creating that character, I wanted to go through the process of creating the character from start to finish and showing those steps of how to make the character. And for that project, I started my initial sculpt and took it all the way to final model inside of ZBrush. I didn't really use any other tools for that project. And then from there, I was able to take it into other applications like Substance Painter and render out something that was a little bit interesting, a little bit different from what I normally created, being more like monsters and stuff. But it was definitely a challenge, but I was able to make something that I ultimately ended up pretty happy with. If I was to give advice to anyone trying to break into this profession, I would say to stay consistent. It's not a quick and easy process to become good at art. And I think that you have to be adamant about working hard and really pushing, even in trial and error, even in the adversity of not necessarily knowing how to do something. You have to learn how to do it. You have to be consistent, and you really just have to put the time and the effort into improving yourself. And I think in the long run that it pays off.
My name is Jason Hill, and I'm a lead character artist at a video game studio called Turtle Rock Studios. When I got into making games, I wanted to make the main characters. I wanted to make the characters that people loved. Like I looked up to like Solid Snake and things like that. And through these weird series of circumstances, I made a couple characters that ended up being in one of the biggest games ever. And some people do love those characters. In a way, like I achieved a dream, but it didn't feel at all like I expected it to be. We didn't take ourselves too seriously, and I really came away understanding the collaboration that takes place in a game studio or in a professional studio that can really elevate the experience for people in a way that's hard to do on your own. Part of what I hope to do when I teach other people how to do any of this sort of art that I do that they're interested in is I try to demystify things as much as possible. I try to take things down off a pedestal and let them know that this is like not serious, you know, that we're just playing around. I like to show people in simple ways how to get through things and that it's not a big deal, and hopefully encourage them to do that on their own so that they can just have fun and do what they want to do rather than, be overwhelmed, and just try to remove as much of the negativity that we can kind of put on this process ourselves by teaching them things and sharing things that I have from my own experience, hopefully. My earliest memory of ZBrush was I was in college. I was at an art institute for game art, and Gears of War came out. I just remember everyone's looking at the art, the crazy 3D models that they did for this Gears of War game. And then later I got that book. There's a character modeling book that shows those high poly models, and they were sharing some info online, and that's where I saw ZBrush. They talked about like sculpting this monster head for like 3 days. And so I'd never heard anything like that before. And it was obviously just really invigorating, and it felt like this is obviously the future. This is crazy. It was the craziest game that anyone had ever seen. And I remember going from classroom to classroom. In retrospect, it's pretty cringe that I did that. Like, teachers were just trying to teach their class, and I just would poke my head into classrooms and ask if anybody knew anything about ZBrush. And I was just so excited to use it and try to learn it. And I remember like staying up all night when an update came out to try to get ahead. So there was like a fun, friendly competition between me and some other artists at the college where we were trying to learn this new program. And yeah, it was exciting times. What ZBrush does for my specific workflow, I think, is just enable me to go really, really high and do little details, which I like to do, and then go really, really low and move things around and make big changes and pose the character and stuff like that. So I'm someone that moves back and forth in divisions, and ZBrush is really fast. After a while, it becomes muscle memory, and the program doesn't get in the way when you're doing the actual sculpting. And that, for me, I think is the enjoyable part. Using ZBrush for iPad the first time was a trip. And so just having ZBrush on an iPad and like moving a 3D model around, the novelty didn't wear off for a while. So that was fun. And it was still fun, like seeing the same matte caps and being able to like sculpt. You know, it feels pretty much the same. The future for ZBrush for iPad stuff, I think, is so bright. Like in general, I think the idea of being able to do professional desktop level work on a little device anywhere, you know, going to a park or being on a plane or something, being in your bed, I think is just a fun idea. But then the idea of enabling like professional level work, not only for someone like me that can travel, but to me, I think the most exciting thing is getting to a future where someone who's interested in this sort of thing that doesn't even have a desktop or doesn't have experience 3D modeling or sculpting could play around and make some stuff on an iPad and get some of that joy and fun that I get from doing this kind of art that I do. That's what's, I think, the most exciting part of it. And so what I hope is that the ZBrush for iPad can enable way more people to try this sort of thing, and it might lead to people getting more serious if they want to be and graduate to different things and learn different techniques. So overall, I think it's great that there can be a lot more people that get to experience and have some of the same joy that I get out of doing this stuff.
My name is Lucas Cuenca. I'm the character supervisor at DINEC North America. My job is to art direct technically and artistically the hero creatures. I'm originally from Ushuaia. That's in the very south of Argentina. That's the southest point in the world. From there, I went to Buenos Aires to study. And in Buenos Aires, I studied in multimedia design. And one day I watched Lord of the Rings, and I fall in love with all the creatures and characters in there. So that's how that influenced what I was studying. And I tried to find out how that was done. And I found that Weta did it. So I take all my savings with some help of my family and went to New Zealand. And, you know, I thought that I was going to work in the Lord of the Rings. I went without work, right? So I was very naive. But yeah, I wasn't able to work in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit at that time. But I found a job in a place called October Animation. I was always doing creature work, right? I was always focusing doing creature work, not only in my actual day-to-day work, but also personally, right? So everything that I was doing was creature-based. And then I ended up at DINEC, where I started in art department, and then I went to build, so designing the caches of Pacific Rim. I stayed in DINEC UK for 3 years, I think, and then I moved to DINEC Vancouver. Nature is the main source of inspiration. I know that this is a question that lots of people answers, but the truth is that, you know, you can get inspired by watching the clouds, and you can see a dragon, and you can see a goblin. You know, you can see a tree and find inspiration in there. But also, it's a lot of nature that we didn't research, right? So as soon as you start to research, you can start to find things that you didn't know that actually existed in nature. All my designs, I try them to keep it grounded because they need to perform. They become actors in the films. If my source of inspiration is nature, I know that my designs are going to be grounded to something that is real. I stay motivated because I love what I do. In the film industry, you need to keep all the time evolving, right, with what you do, and I always want to become better. Sculpting is like drawing, or, you know, even sculpting in clay. Your stuff is never perfect. You know, you always can get better. You know, anatomy can continue to be better. You need to learn more. You know, if it's not human anatomy, then it's animal anatomy. If it's not, you know, if it's not cat anatomy, it's dog anatomy. You know, so every project I do, I try to become a specialist of that. Right. My first experience with ZBrush, I open and close it. But then I watched, it was like 18 years ago, right? It was ZBrush 2.5. It was dragging cubes everywhere on the screen. But then the first video that I watched of how to use ZBrush was thanks to Gnomon Workshops. Aaron Sims' video with this Velociraptor kind of dinosaur creature. And that was my first experience with ZBrush. I'm pretty new in using the iPad, but I download a lot of new tools, and I separate the tools into categories. You know, you have toys and tools, professional tools. iPad, ZBrush for iPad is a professional. You can definitely do professional work in the iPad version of ZBrush. Also, the interface is very well thought. You know, I think that in general it becomes a bit more easy to get into than the PC version. For the Dragon, I wanted to push the iPad as further as I want to see, okay, can I do a professional projects in ZBrush for the iPad? And I think that the answer is yes. I can, I was able to push a lot of geometry there. My idea was to just try to make something as detailed as possible and see how stable it becomes and see if it's even possible, because at the time I didn't know if it was even possible, and it did very, very well. Very, very happy with the performance.
I'm Ming Xu. I'm a digital artist, designer based in LA. I spent past 6 years working on films, TV shows, commercials, game cinematics, mostly on main title sequences. In 2022, I work as a designer with the team at Elastic on the HBO show The Last of Us for its main title sequences, and it won the 75 Emmy Award for the outstanding main title sequence. So I studied fine art when I was pretty young, like just sketching and drawing paintings. When I was in high school, I fell in love with film, and I attended film school when I was in college, majoring production design. And later, back in 2015, I moved to the States and studied digital art and animation. I also started 2D frame-by-frame animation before 3D digital program. So my journey through art always pivoting and evolving through different media. My inspiration actually comes from books, reading a lot. I like to read novels and sometimes psychiatry books and even philosophy books, because I feel when I get inspiration from reading from the book, I'm not limited from just the visual. For example, if I only use other artists' work as a visual reference or inspiration, sometimes it kind of limits my imagination and kind of limit my exploration through the lens of my own perspective. So I tend to focus more on genres, which is like through the language. One day I went to a bookstore in Beijing, China. I found a book that really stand out to me, and it's kind of the introduction to ZBrush. When I decide to study and move into America, and when I kind of prepare all my luggage, I actually bring this book with me, and this book stay still with my book on my bookshelf now. So it's the kind of this like magic relationship between me and ZBrush started very early, and then I kind of stopped a little bit. I got scared in USC. I kind of pick it up back again after 5 years. I started to self-learn ZBrush, and then by watching all the tutorials on YouTube created by all the amazing ZBrush artists, digital artists, and then at that time I finally kind of introduced ZBrush to my professional industrial work. And now I almost use ZBrush every time for every commercial project and all my personal project. When I first saw the news about the ZBrush iPad, I was really excited because it means productivity to me a lot. Because my job sometimes requires me to travel internationally. on airplane or to anywhere. And I hate commute so much because I could waste like 12 hours just trying to go to another country. But when I saw ZBrush iPad is coming, I thought, okay, finally I have something to do. So I'm really excited. We are human beings. We need like new stimulus, right? And then when I bring the iPad outside to see the nature more, and I can get inspired more, and I can draw and sketch instantly. So it's huge. I love challenge. Life is made of challenge. If I have to follow everything the same path, I feel the life is so bored. Pushing the boundary is not like I have to force myself to do it. It just comes very naturally. So when it comes to art, it's also very naturally too. So I always spend a lot of time trying to think, oh, what is the new medium and what is the new voice I want to present.
My name is Patrick Foley, or Patrick4D, as people know me on social media. I'm a digital chef or 3D artist based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I think with the current niche that I'm in, I have a bunch of sources of inspiration, everything from the meals I have every day, or going to a grocery store even. I've told people it's like I'm walking into an art gallery with different brands. You see the packaging, and I always take inspiration in pieces where I can. So if I feel like I could do something better, or if I could learn from something, I think just a quick trip to the local grocery store is a great place for inspiration. I think when sculpting food, you can get really creative because it's so organic. So you can have a lot more flexibility and freedom to make things that otherwise need to be perfect. For instance, if you're modeling a car or something like that, you don't have the same freedoms that you do when you're making something like a bowl of rice, where you can take a few grains of rice and throw them over here, randomize them. There's a lot of flexibility and freedom in that, and I think I gravitate towards that. At first, I think I was making characters, and then when I made a lot of these crazy characters, I started bringing cartoon foods to life. For instance, the Krabby Patty from SpongeBob, or Purple Flirt from Jimmy Neutron. And after I started making these, I started to realize not only am I pretty fast with it, but not a lot of people were kind of diving into this food realm. And so when I did that, I was like, oh, well, we make cartoon foods come to life and this looks really tasty. What happens if we make real foods come to life? I think with all the noise social media comes with these days, I do have a soft spot for it because it is what has given me such a platform and a career. And it's connected me to not only so many other artists, so many brands that I've continued to work with today. I think one of my most fun collabs has been the recent one with Dunkin', in which I came up with a special summer treat cold brew idea, and they released it as a real product. And so I got to go into one of their stores in Atlanta and try it for myself. In high school, I was placed in front of a bunch of computers in this class called Digital Imaging and Digital Video Art, and those were the classes where I was first experiencing creating something in a digital sense. And from that, I realized I wanted to be a photographer, and through that, a videographer or a director of photography, went to school for film and television. And then through that, found other mediums such as Cinema 4D and the Maxon products. First experience with ZBrush was very daunting, and I was not mentally prepared for the UI at the beginning. And I actually had to take a 6-month break because I think I was starting with projects that were too intense. And so I had to remind myself to start very small. And I remember I was making cartoon characters at the time, so instead of making something super detailed, I was like, okay, let's just start small. Let's start with like a Powerpuff Girl, where each body part was very simplistic. And so I started with baby primitives and just worked my way up. I had an aha moment in ZBrush when I realized you could use this feature called nanomesh. For instance, making a bowl of rice, instead of having to hand create each of the rice grains, you could use the nanomesh feature. And not only that, you could randomize each of the width, size, rotation, everything that you needed, and then just bake it down and decimate. So it was a very life-changing set of tools that I still use on a daily basis for a lot of foods that require repetitions of geometry. So far, my experience with ZBrush for iPad has been phenomenal. I think as someone who has such a unique setup at home, it's really hard for me to work mobily, and the ZBrush for iPad allows me to start sketches and start things while I'm on the go, and then later on work on them in the stationary comfort of my setup. And I think that's like one of the most powerful parts of this. I think the future of sculpting is very bright, because I think before, when you have a huge barrier of entry to someone who isn't an artist, or maybe is but doesn't have the funds to be buying tablets left and right, I think a lot of people have products like iPad, and it's going to allow a lot more people access to be making things that they thought was only possible with a crazy setup.
Okay, my name is Rick Baker. I used to be a makeup effects guy in the film industry, but now I'm a makeup effects guy that's retired who's just having the best time making fun stuff every day. I was the first generation of kids to grow up in front of a TV, you know, and I was very attracted to monster movies, I called them, you know, and all the stuff that came before me is definitely influenced my style, and you know, the good and the bad even. You know, I like old 60s Google Eyes monsters, and I also like, you know, old masters of paintings, you know. So I mean, just life in general influences me, you know. And here I have a bunch of books I was just talking about that I hardly ever look at anymore, but it used to be every project would be, okay, I'm looking through animal books and insect books and all these things just to get inspiration for ideas, you know. And it comes from all over the place now, though. As far as I remember, I've always like drawn and sketched. I don't remember the very specific one. My father could draw very well and paint very well. And I remember specifically him showing me how to draw Popeye, the cartoon Popeye. And I still have that sketch somewhere, and it turned out pretty well. And it was really about, you know, breaking it down into shapes. You know, one of it was like a backwards E, you know, and things like that. But I was always drawing monsters and things like that. And I also remember the first time I pushed clay around. I think it was in kindergarten, and we had some water-based clay, and I made like a little man. We didn't bake him, but I ended up painting it with some little watercolors. I still have it, and it's terrible, you know, but my fascination with sculpture began. And I always felt that I was better pushing clay around than I was pushing paint around, and really focused on sculpture more than painting at that point in my life. I think I was just born motivated. I was an only child. I grew up in a room by myself, which my bedroom was my little makeup laboratory, my mask making factory. And I always say, what do normal people do to keep themselves entertained? Because I've been retired for almost 10 years now, and I still pretty much work 10 hours a day. I mean, if it's a short day, it would be an 8-hour day, which I rarely do. And it's just who I am, and it's how I have fun. And you know, being motivated isn't a problem. The problem is I have too many things I want to do, and I know that there's a time limit on this life, and it's not that far away. So that's one reason I work 12 hours a day still. So I ended up buying an Amiga computer that had Lightwave on it, and it was a point and polygon modeling program. But it also had a cool video switcher, which I played with a lot and had a lot of fun with. But I started playing with that, and I just went, it's not how my brain works. The point and polygon thing just wasn't working for me, and I couldn't do anything organic. And I just thought, okay, digital modeling, not going to happen for me. And then I heard about ZBrush, and I got a copy of it, and because I had used Photoshop for many years and After Effects and a lot of computer programs, I thought, well, I can figure this out. And then this was the early stages of ZBrush. It was a completely different animal then, you know. And I tried using it and I go, what the hell? I can't figure this out. So I found out about the forum, and I looked in the forum, and I downloaded a tutorial on how to do a head. And then as soon as I got it, it was like, again, instant love. And my wife was really upset because she was never seeing me because I was on ZBrush day and night, you know, playing with it. it was, I truly loved it. Again, it was like no fear sculpting. You can try these things, and the way it was designed, it wasn't this point and polygon thing. You could just really like pushing clay around, and I love that so much. I loved that it continued to evolve and change. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I really like about ZBrush is that you can poly paint, and you can have, like I said, a lot of times I'll look at the sculpture that I'm working on, even if it's a practical sculpture that I scanned. But design-wise, you can paint it, and it's. I wish you could paint in the real world like you can paint digitally, 'cause it's so nice to be able to do things and cut the translucency down or transparency down, and yeah, I mean it's just a great creative tool for making anything to be able to look at it and play with. So I mean, like I said before, I'll say it till I die. I love ZBrush. Well, I was happy to hear that they're going to do an iPad version for ZBrush. I mean, the concept of having it anywhere you are is great. You could be sitting in your car in a parking lot waiting for something, and working on the ZBrush thing. But having a pad that you can take to bed with you, then I end up doing that, and then it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not getting any sleep. So I've intentionally not brought my iPad to bed with me during my Halloween prep time, because I know I'm going to stay up all night playing with it. I mean, I can really see that to be a very handy tool, especially if you're like I said, in a conference with 47 producers who can't make up their mind, and if they said, well, maybe if you want to change that a little bit, you could do it right there on the spot with them, which I really see as an advantage. And I think having them involved in that would actually help them decide, oh, I saw him do that and I suggested that, so I like that design, so I can see that being a real plus.